Hello, people on the internet watching car reviews. Welcome to the 2024 Toyota RAV4 Woodland Edition. And on top of that, this one has the E4 hybrid all-wheel drive system. So today, I'm gonna get up in the air, we're nerd out in the tech specs, see how it is constructed, and then go take it out into the cactus lands. Army green and bronze. Almost got a Hakone edition theme going on here. This is not a tow hitch, nor is it a place for penguins. It is a 1¼ inch accessory mount. While in theory the RAV4 can tow 1,750 pounds, this is more designed for kayaks and bicycles. And this is a giant pancake of a stainless steel muffler with some pea shooters attached. Dual pea shooters with black tips. That's usually reserved for TRD. Out back, the RAV4 utilizes an all-steel in construction multi-link rear suspension, a little plastic fin to help with aerodynamics, and it's paired with a proper set of TRD off-road KYB twin-tube dampers with an internal spring and jounce protection, which I think is a fancy word for upgraded bump stops. While you do get TRD upgraded suspension for the Woodland, the springs do not give you an extra inch of ride height like the TRD off-road model does. What the hell? There's literally a beige tag that says beige on it. Rear anti-sway bar, which is mounted to the back of the rear subframe, measures in at a rather impressive 23.5 millimeters in diameter. Housed in the center of this rear subframe is what makes up the E4 all-wheel drive system. It is a permanent magnet synchronous electric motor known as 4NM, produces 40 kilowatts or 54 horsepower and 89 pound-feet of torque. And because this is the Woodland edition, it has a trail mode which will simulate a brake-based limited slip differential. Skid plate or aerodynamics? Oh, that's pretty thick. I mean, plastic slides over rocks fairly nicely. This XA50 generation RAV4 is built on Toyota's TNGA-K platform, and this Woodland Hybrid E4 all-wheel drive model weighs in at 3,775 pounds. If you're wondering about the battery pack, it is a 244.8 volt lithium ion unit that is right underneath the rear seat. That is all fairly thick plastic. The whole thing is covered in it down here. That one's stout right there. That's actually the fuel tank, I'm pretty sure. Toyota Tenneco, little stainless steel center resonator muffler. And the exhaust piping measures in at pea shooter. Measly 48 millimeter in diameter, or just under 2 inches SAE. There is only one transmission available with the RAV4 Hybrid, and it is the Aijin P710 dual electric motor with planetary gear set automatic transmission. It's known as the eCVT, but throw the CVT term out the window. It's going to confuse you. It's not a CVT in that sense. What it has is 2 electric motors, MG1 and MG2, and a planetary gear set that acts as a power split device, kind of like a clutch in a crude way, I guess, if you will. And the purpose of those 2 electric motors is to provide propulsion for the front of the vehicle, as well as charging the battery up and acting as a motor generator. And that system, which is called 3NM, produces 120 horsepower and 149 pound-feet of torque on its own. Now, as far as the E4 all-wheel drive system, it is capable of providing 100% front or 0% rear, all the way down to 20% front and 80% rear. Front anti-sway bar measures in at approximately about 26 millimeter. Oh, weird. Yeah, there's just like a massive void of space up inside there because there's no drive shaft. Up front, the RAV4 has a partially steel and aluminum McPherson strut style front suspension, little access panel for oil changes, aluminum front knuckles, fairly beefy boxed lower control arm, and again paired with a set of those KYB TRD off-road dampers. And again, I really would not be afraid of taking this for some mild off-roading. All right, time for the braking test. Nobody behind me. Ready, set, go. Okay. Ooh. That's an angry robot whale. Holy shit, that was the loudest ABS ever. Really good stopping in this thing, above average by far. It got a little hair squirrely though, but great stopping distance. That braking was just made possible thanks to a 305mm or 12-inch front rotor with a single piston floating caliper. On the Woodland Edition, you get these 18x7 with a positive 35mm offset, flow-formed matte bronze alloy wheels, wrapped in a set of 225/60 18-inch Falcon Wild Peak all-terrain tires. Toyota always kills it in the styling department with colors. And that's how you dress appropriately for the situation. All-terrains on a crossover or SUV. What? Whoa! This is a new one. It's like foam. I like the little textured black removable flares. LED projector fog. You can tell that it's a hybrid because electricity is blue. You can see the little active grille shutters behind the grille and in front of the AC condenser. Factory splash guards and textured black plastic to help protect from rock chips. Easy to get this thing on the lift with pinch weld access. I wish they would have put an E4 badge right here. That would have been cute. This is more like hairy cardboard back here, but the rear portion is a heavy-duty reinforced plastic splash guard. Out back, you have another single piston floating caliper with a slightly smaller 282mm or 11.1-inch rear rotor. The wheel and the tire, same size as you have up front. In the name of science, I am now going to give this thing the beans. Bolstering assessment. I have a slippery shirt on, so that's skewing the results, but it's got a fair amount of bolster to it. They're cloth with a little pattern in the center, kind of 90s throwback. The seats are power adjustable, but they're not heated. On a Woodland Edition, it doesn't come standard with heated seats. Because they are cloth, I can kind of see why they didn't make it standard, because you don't really need heated seats as bad on a cloth surface as you do if it's leather or vinyl or something that's naturally cold to the touch. As far as drive modes go, I have a little dial here in the center that I can rotate to the left for eco, press it in the center for normal, or rotate it to the right for sport. And the gauge cluster changes colors according to what mode that you're in. I also have an EV mode button to just drive in full electric, but it doesn't have very much of a range, it's more for parking lots. I can also move the drive lever over into sport mode. In theory, if you were to use the manual mode and drop it down a gear, you can increase the regeneration cycle on deceleration to help charge up the battery. And a trail mode, which I'll get to later. Traction control wise, there's an easy to find button right under the climate control. All right, ready? Go. Okay, it actually let me launch it a little bit. Surprising. That's good. Not bad. It's not slow. It's not slow. It's a little hair above adequate for this type of a vehicle. Hood pop. It's a pretty light hood. No hood struts though. Underneath the hood of the 2024 Toyota RAV4 Woodland Hybrid is the Dynamic Force Alpha 25 Alpha FXS. Dual overhead cam, 2.5 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder that produces 176 horsepower at 5,700 RPM and 163 pound-feet of torque from 3,600 to 5,200 RPM. But that is in conjunction with THS2, Toyota Hybrid System 2. Those hybrid electric motors and the internal combustion engine give you a total combined system output of 219 horsepower and who the f knows how much torque, because that's a math problem above my level of comprehension. Digging a little bit deeper on the Alpha 25 Alpha, it is undersquared at an 87.5 by 103.4 millimeter bore and stroke with an impressive 14:1 compression ratio, operating on an Atkinson cycle. Moving up into the cylinder head, it has VVT-I on exhaust valves, it's hydraulically controlled, and VVT-IE electronically controlled on the intake valves. Also has Toyota's D4S, both port and direct fuel injection system, which is nice to keep the back of the valves clean. I shall remove the foam engine cover, give you a look at the valve cover, which is really flat in plastic. See a coil packs up on top here. Stick that back on there. This giant pack with some orange robot spaghetti going to it, letting you know it's a hybrid, is the inverter for 3NM, the front electric motor generator. I love Toyota's symmetry. You got all the electrical stuff in the corner here with the fuse box, the ECU, and then your inverter, followed by the wet stuff corner. You got your expansion chamber and then the puke tank for the cooling system, as well as that scary looking caution label on the radiator cap is to hopefully ward off morons from accidentally confusing it with the fill tank for your washer fluid. That's sick. This thing doesn't have a serpentine belt. There are no belts at all because the AC compressor and the power steering pump are all electrically driven. It's so hard to get this on camera, but what you're seeing focused on right now is the crank pulley. You can see there is no belts at all. And then it's got a timing chain. It's belt free. Dude, this thing would be so simple. There's a ton of room on the back half of the engine. Massive exhaust manifold. That's how it gets 14:1 compression ratio. Also, the traditional 12-volt battery in conjunction with the lithium ion pack for the hybrid system is located kind of in the middle of the vehicle, which helps for weight distribution. We're gonna start this off with the steep but beginner level hill climb because I tested the Corolla Cross, which essentially has a similar all-wheel drive system on this hill, and it failed miserably. So I wanna see if tires in this little trail mode make a difference. With that said, the trail mode, you select that in the center, and that essentially utilizes the brakes to simulate limited slip differential. I'm not letting any air out of the tires, keeping it at standard pressure, and I'll give it a very mild run up. And we'll see what this thing can do. It has a barely less approach and departure angle as the non-Woodland edition. I don't understand why, maybe because of the skid plating, underbody protection. Yeah, same story as the Corolla Cross. That was with traction control defeated. I'm gonna turn traction control on, leave it in trail mode, and give it a little run up. See if that makes a difference. Nope. Yeah, it is. All right, I guess I'm gonna turn around on the hill. I'm gonna try one more thing. I'm trying sport and manual mode, keeping it in one. This is the last attempt. A little bit of a run up. Nope. I gotta modulate the brakes to control my slide. The E4 all-wheel drive system is not designed for serious off-roading. While slippery, hard-packed dirt hill climbs at a 30-degree slope aren't this thing's forte, I think the Rally Special stage might be up its alley, especially with this TRD suspension. So, see what this thing can do. Go! All right. I'll let you launch it a little aggressively. Oh. Angry robots. Yeah, you can feel the 3,700 pounds actually. That's what I'm noticing first. It doesn't feel light and nimble out here. The suspension though is not bad. Ooh, actually a little hair of oversteer coming out of that corner right there. Ugh, ABS gets super angry in the dirt. The only thing I can say is the ground clearance, it could use a hair more ground clearance. There isn't as much of a feeling of a disconnect between the front and the rear like I noticed in the Crown and more so in the Lexus RX 500H. The RX 500H, I felt like an actual disconnect between the two rear and front rear drivetrains. Like you could feel two different things happening at once. The gravel pit isn't much of a challenge for anyone that's down with the Wu-Tang Clan, except for the Corolla Cross. That was the only vehicle that struggled with this, and I think a lot of it had to do with the wheel and tire setup that was on there. So I think this should be able to do it. Here goes. Ooh, it's in PV mode too. I actually scraped a little bit. Oh yeah, not a problem. Not a problem at all. So it's definitely, the tires make a massive difference who's started to hesitate a little bit in the middle there, it does help the E4 all-wheel drive system. So this system is really designed for people that are buying this vehicle that like to do outdoor stuff, maybe go mountain biking or hiking or kayaking, and they're not going serious off-roading, but they want to go down dirt roads and maybe like minor trails. The little Woodland decal is mattified, just like the wheels. It's got all the woods in the land. Little cargo shade. And this foam noodle looking thing, what is this, a slingshot? Possibly, I think it's a net. What is under here and why is it so, there we go. That is an aggressive spare. That looks like the back tire on like a liter bike. Also an AC power inverter built in. 100 watt, 120 volt. Makes sense on a Woodland. The rear liftgate is not power. You can't be lazy if you own this. That'd be sick if they could make that illuminate like the taillight on the LC500 so it looks like a hologram. The roof is painted black. It's got a roof rack. No, I'm not actually this tall. I'm on my tippy toes. Cloth seats for the win. It's got a really nice rear floor mat with the little trees all over it for the Woodland edition. I don't know who has the best new car smell. It's a tie between Toyota and Honda. Just smell all those volatiles from the plastics cooking off. Dual USB-Cs, vents. Only one map pocket on the passenger side. Rear cup holders. The headrest looks like a Toblerone. Don't eat it. If you're the type of person that actually puts a little bit of effort into taking care of your vehicle, I feel like the RAV4's interior will hold up the test of time. Everything feels well built in here and it's styled in a way that I think it'll age well. All the materials in the RAV4 interior are soft, padded, and stitched. It actually feels nice. With the exception of the door cards. Well, that's cheap material, but it's a RAV4. This isn't a Lexus. LED map lights, a little sunglass holder, and an SOS button. No moonroof. I'm not sad about that though. Wireless charge pad or sandwich maker. It's got texture. Has dual zone automatic climate control with rubber grippy knobs and a matching grippy volume knob on the infotainment system. Actually, the stereo is not bad in here. I was not expecting much out of it, but not bad. The speaker grill says RAV4 on it too. It does come standard with Toyota Safety Sense 2.5, which means it's 2.5 times more safe. As far as the infotainment system goes, it's very plain Jane. There's not a lot to it, but if you go over here to the vehicle setting, it has an energy flow chart, which, is that the crank pulley? That's facing the wrong direction. Or is that MG1 and MG2? The cup holders look like a man with a mustache wearing ski goggles. So as you can see right now, I am in EV mode. It's absolutely silent. And this is a massive benefit of the Woodland Hybrid. You can't do this in a TRD off-road RAV4. And for people that are into the outdoors, especially wildlife, whatever you're doing with wildlife outdoors, if you're gonna eat them soon, or if you're just going to observe them in their natural habitat, being able to not disturb them and drive quietly, especially if you're going fishing, or if you're in a campground and you don't want to irritate people. This is a huge plus, being able to do this. But what this is not a hybrid TRD off-road RAV4, and that's what I was hoping for when I first started to review this thing. I was super excited about it. I was like, oh, this is neat. But then I was kind of disappointed on the hill climb. Now on the topic of efficiency, this has the game built into the gauge cluster that they have on some other Toyota hybrid models, where it has 3 categories to score you on. It has your start, your cruise, and your stop. And it rewards you and gives you a higher score based on how smoothly you can drive and try to reach a maximum 100. Okay, here goes. I'm gonna take off. I want to keep the green well within the blue. It's kind of hard doing this off-road because you can't have cake and eat it too. Okay, oh perfect, 5 out of 5. Now I'm gonna try using manual mode and slowing myself down for the stop. It might regenerate some juices. Down. I didn't even use the brake pedal. Only 2. It's kind of like doing an efficiency series race on Gran Turismo to use the least amount of fuel possible. And it's a lot of fun to have little Easter eggs like that in a vehicle. In terms of raw fuel efficiency goes, absolute win for something that's all-wheel drive and this size. I was averaging about 40 miles per gallon with this thing mixed driving, which is incredible for a small SUV that has all-terrain tires on it. Absolutely impressed in that department. It is now time to give this thing some scores. Starting with the bean score, the assessment of the feeling you get in your gut when you give it the beans. And the RAV4 Woodland Hybrid gets a rating of. Next is the cookie score, the assessment of value. And as this one is equipped in the mid-30s, it gets a rating of. Followed by the wrench score, the assessment of ease of maintenance. And I'm giving it a rating of. I think this is probably one of the best scores I've given yet for a hybrid electric vehicle. This thing doesn't scare me in the slightest bit as far as maintenance goes. And the fact that it's a Toyota also is helping a lot too. Next is the meatball score. It's the assessment of how quick I will cook wearing a black vinyl shirt in the sun. And this is getting a rating of. I have to be gentle. My finger's arm broke multiple times. That's a very strange sentence. Said no doctor ever. Lastly is the Penguin score, the assessment on how much I like a vehicle, and the RAV4 Woodland Hybrid gets a rating of. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy this review. I'll see you soon with another. Bye.